Welcome to the Holly Hibbard Leadership Podcast, your go-to source for actionable insights, practical advice, and inspiring stories to help you lead with faith-filled purpose at work and at home. If you're looking to equip, empower, and encourage yourself to thrive in an ever-changing world, you're in the right place. I'm Holly Hibbard, and with over 20 years of experience as a science teacher, leadership coach, entrepreneur, and relationship mentor, I understand the challenges and growth opportunities that come with pursuing your passion. Whether you're chasing career goals, taking entrepreneurial leaps, or finally reaching for those long postponed ambitions, I'm here to help. So let's get comfortable having uncomfortable conversations and explore ways you can lead your family, lead your life, and find your calling with intention and faith. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I am obsessed with this video that I just found last week. I'm going to even link it in the show notes for you, and it has inspired me to create an episode for you today on why your productivity style doesn't play well with others. I'm even going to put this in the category of this is something that is a problem in your life that you don't even know is a problem in your life. It may not be obvious as to what I'm even talking about until I dive into this. I'm actually clutching my face as I'm recording this because I feel confident in saying that because I didn't even know that this was a thing. And not only will this episode, I believe, support you in your career environment or your hobbies or running your business or working better, but I also believe it can help you and will help you with the dynamic of your family, you with your spouse or your significant other, with your kids, because everyone has a different style of productivity. And I will also disclose here that I am not an expert on this particular topic. Personality styles, yes. Productivity styles, this is very new for me, but there was no way that I could go another minute and not share with you what I learned from this video. So everything today that I'm going to describe for you in short comes from this YouTube video that Alex Hormozi created. If you are into business growth, business development, personal growth, then you are very familiar with Alex Hormozi and his wife Layla, who are currently my obsessions and very successful people, the founders of acquisition.com. They have built and sold $1 million businesses multiple times, so you do the math. And I know that this info has validity behind it because of the people who are producing it. And Alex even says in the video that this is not something he noticed or created. It came from something that he was taught many, many years ago. So I'm passing along the information. So let's get down to it. The way that Alex Hormozi describes these types of productivity is you have two categories of people. There are the makers and there are the managers. And the reason that this video captured my attention in the first place and I watched it is because he was talking about how to manage your time better. And I thought, okay, I'm always down for learning more about time management. As I've mentioned in other episodes or in my Facebook videos or what have you, I was diagnosed with ADD last year in 2023, and it made so much sense, ADHD specifically. And what that does for me is it makes me a very creative person. So I fall in that category of maker. ADHD for me is a superpower because I can generate ideas so quickly. I love brainstorming with people, different content ideas, course ideas. How can you monetize something? I love brainstorming and creating and helping other people create. It comes very naturally to me. And on the flip side of that, I was a school teacher for many years. And you know what the biggest thing I couldn't stand was when I was teaching? I felt like I was a servant to the bell because I was a middle school teacher, a high school teacher, 7 class periods a day. And that bell dictated when I ate, when I used the bathroom, when this group leaves and this one starts, how much time. It was so structured. And I had to find a way day to day to let my creativity come out and play, but in the time constraints of you can only get so far in a certain time period, right? Now, you may or may not have a similar experience in the way that you work. You might have a lot of time constraints, like I can only do so much in an hour of time with my class. Nowadays, as an executive coach and a content and a course creator, I'd have more flexibility with how much time I can take to get a point across, the different exercises or experiences I can do. I love that flexibility of being able to spend more or less time on something. So that was why the video caught my attention. But the reason why he was talking about time management is not because of squirrely people like me who need help with their calendar, but he wanted to point out why the makers of the world and the managers of the world do not have calendars and the way we view our calendars in the same light or same perspective. So this is how he describes it. And I'm going to use my husband and myself in this example because why not? It's businessy, but it's also family related. And so maybe this will land both ways for you. So as an entrepreneur and an independent contractor, I'm the director of a nonprofit organization, shout out to Reaching Higher, and I'm their director of business growth and development. And I also have Holly Hibbard Coaching and Consulting. I create my schedule. I have that flexibility. And I just explained, I love that for me. I love that for me. And whenever you look at my calendar, though, you will see large chunks of time on my calendar that are blank. And whenever I feel like I'm stuck in my creative process, I might say something to my husband and he would say, well, show me your calendar. And how many times if you're into personal growth, how many times have you heard, because I know I've heard it, show me your calendar and I'll show you if you're successful or not and what your life is like. And the way that Alex Hormozy broke this down, I feel like I'm not a loser anymore. I say that because, yeah, I have a lot of great things in my life, but man, I can be so hard on myself. So if you look at my calendar, like I said, I have large gaps of time. And so someone like my husband, who is a project manager, he is a manager mindset and style of productivity. He can look at my calendar and go, okay, there's nothing happening here. And I can say to him, yeah, that's my dream day. And my husband could say, you mean your dream day is you doing nothing? And this is where the styles don't play well with each other because what's actually happening is I see, and this is what Alex highlights in the video, I'll link you to, I see a large gap of time and think, oh my goodness, I can immerse myself in this. I have time to make, to write, to create. Look what I'm doing right now. I'm using a part of my time to create this message for you. I love this. This lights me up. This is fun for me. I am enjoying myself. However, a manager perspective, a manager style of productivity will look at the blank spot in my calendar and say, well, this chunk of time then should say podcast from 11:30 a.m. to 12 noon. And to the manager, that makes sense because the objective for me, a maker, is to make content. And one of my superpowers of ADHD is that hyperactivity of my brain, because that's what it is for me. I can also get hyper focused. I get locked in and you have to pry me away from my projects once I get super immersed into it. So I love having an open-ended period of time. Yes, I can start at 11:30, but I don't need to be done at noon. If I want to record 2 or 3 or 6 episodes, I can because I'm inspired. However, a manager perspective, the way that my husband will look at it is that's not time blocked. And time is money. So a manager perspective, what that looks like is if you have a 9 to 5, let's say everything in your 9 to 5 is in 20-minute segments. That means that every 20 minutes, you have something on that calendar. This is when I'm commuting. This is when I'm on this call. This is when I'm on my lunch break. This is when I'm on the next call. And the dream and the goal of a manager is that 9 to 5 better be completely blocked out on the calendar, because a manager productivity style will see that as I'm busy. I'm making calls. I'm connecting. I'm making sales. I'm finishing the project. I'm accomplishing the task. And so their validity that they're doing a good job, that proof to themselves, comes from seeing a full stacked calendar. For someone like me, a maker who's creative, I have to follow my level of energy, because there are certain times of the day and certain times of the week where I have more energy, more focus, and I am way more creative and therefore way more productive. That typically is earlier in the week for me. Once I get toward the end of the week, a Thursday, a Friday, I start to become a little drained and my creativity can get stagnant. So what that looks like for me is I now know that my chunks of time that are open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday get to be ideally dedicated to making, creating, calls, content, doing the things that I am inspired to do and also need to do, but feel good about it. And then the tasks for the end of the week are things for me that simply require less energy, less focus. There are things that I can do if I'm feeling depleted, or I can just handle it on my phone very quickly, or something that just doesn't take a lot from me. So I have to stack my week strategically, most difficult stuff at the beginning and less difficult things at the end of the week. I know that about myself because I am a maker style of productivity and I ride that wave. And last bit, if you are a maker, and then I'll switch more to manager, that perspective. As a maker, I also know that I have the most amount of energy and focus between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. But I know a lot of makers who have the most energy in the evening. Before I got married and now have a family and I lived alone and I was single, you better believe there were some nights where 7:30, 8 p.m., I would have this stroke of creativity and I would go in my office and I would write content, create, record short form videos. I would get so much done. Sometimes I'd work until 10 or 11 o'clock at night because I didn't have any other responsibilities and I could ride that maker wave whenever I wanted to. Now I have other responsibilities that I love, by the way. And it's just caused me to have to rearrange when I do things. I have to pay attention to me. So managers, if you see an empty calendar, you may be working with another manager who doesn't care, which is the number one perspective, right? Because if you're a manager and you see an empty calendar, you may think this person doesn't care, they're not productive, they're not filling their time. That can be a point of concern, for example, between my manager husband and maker me. That also can be a point of concern if we worked together on something career-wise. Also, you could just be a manager looking at a maker's calendar. And it's important, managers, that for that maker's calendar, if you know they are a creative and a maker, it's important to work with them so that you are not taking their 9 to 5 open block day and shoving a meeting in there at 12 noon. Because what happens is that stunts the creative flow. It stops it. It shortens it. And not everyone, when they stop at 12 noon to take the meeting, can come back to that level of focus. So I know for me, during the school year, when my daughter gets off the bus at 3 o'clock or so in the afternoon, I know that it's time up for me. Unless I'm taking a call or a meeting or need to be there for someone else after 3 p.m., it's really difficult for me to shift back in that creative mode. Once I'm out of that hyper focus, it's so tough to get back into it. And a lot of makers have that same dilemma. Now, managers, if your calendar is stacked and you know you're going from thing to thing to thing, or you see an empty block in your calendar, it is your natural gift to think about, how can I best utilize this empty 20-minute block? Who can I call in this 20-minute block? What thing can I check off my task list in this 20-minute block? And that is a difference of how managers and makers think. Because a manager will think, how do I fill it related to this particular career path or job or what I'm doing right now? But a maker may look at that and see it as, okay, do I need to rest in that time? Do I need to, it's just not thinking the same way. I don't look at a 20-minute block and think the same thing. If anything, that 20-minute block, if I have 30 minutes between two meetings, I'm not thinking about what can I make in that 30 minutes. I'm thinking about probably something unrelated to my work. Do I need to switch out a load of laundry because I work at home? Do I need to do that? Should I run to the grocery store really quick and knock that out and come back? It's typically not the same topic because I'm multitasking, but I'm also using my trip to the grocery store or my switching of the laundry as a brain break because my makerness needs to chill for a second before I go to the next meeting because that takes a lot of energy and focus. I know I talked way more about maker here than I did manager, and that is why I'm going to link the video to you in the show notes because it is so extraordinary. And obviously Alex Hormozy will go through in detail more about each of the two, but I share the maker perspective because I felt so seen. I felt like somebody understood me for a second. And also it helped me to stop judging myself that my calendar is not blocked the way that my husband can do so easily. Because I would start to think to myself, well, is something wrong with me? And I could only imagine that the tables could turn. If I was a manager and looking at a maker's empty calendar, I could very easily say, well, just fill up your calendar and there's your solution. And then as a maker, if you can't do that, because it's just different and my brain doesn't work that way, that's another reason I can, a maker can start judging themselves more, or a manager is now judging their creative person on their staff because the metric of what does productivity look like is simply different. So this is my new favorite topic for today of why your productivity style doesn't play well with others. And remember, the end goal, now that you had this info, consider who in your life do you think are the makers that need that flexibility, and who in your life are the managers who structure, or even in some people's perspectives, overstructure things. It doesn't mean that I as a maker need to become a manager and that's the only right way to do it. And the converse is true as well. I'm not going to take my manager husband and make him into a maker perspective and go with the flow all the time. But if you know each other's strengths, it will make you more productive as a team. You'll be able to play off your strengths and stop seeing that the way they do it different is a weakness. It's not. It's simply different. It's not bad. I would love to know what you think about this topic. Drop me a comment or send me a message on social. Are you a maker or are you a manager? And who in your life do you see this is going to be information that is going to vastly improve your relationship with them? Is it your colleague, your co-founder, your co-owner? Is it you and your teenage kid? Do you feel like in some areas of your life, maybe you're very managerial with your home life, but you're very maker-ish when you are doing the career side of things for yourself? I'd love to hear what your experience is with this topic. Hope it's super helpful. Like I said, I'll link the video in the show notes. Check it out. I want to know what you think. And until next time, I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. I'm high-fiving you right now because I'm so proud of you for putting your personal growth first. Remember, I believe in you, and with faith-filled intention and committed actions, you can lead your life, purpose, and family to wherever you dream possible. If you enjoyed this episode, it would mean so much to me if you'd take 30 seconds to help others discover the show. Leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, share the show with your friends and family, or screenshot this episode to your Instagram stories and tag me at the Holly Hibbard. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. I'm always here cheering you on, and until next time, stay curious, remain encouraged, and keep empowering yourself. You're doing better than you think, I promise.